usual, my heart was beating, which, like, at this point, my heart should not be beating anymore, but you can never tell. Anyway, so after like 40 minutes of waiting, by this time, my eyes were already red, like my throat was full of frustration. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm coming to you with a story time. Oh, I need to say the main things, like the required things before I go into this story. So, it's no need to be dramatic. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe to my channel. It's free. We all got time now. And if you're not following me on Instagram, follow me. It's at Wale O Chronicles. And what else do I have to say before I start this video? Oh, like, share, subscribe, share with your friends. And now let's get into the story. The story is about when I was stranded in Switzerland. Oh my God. Anyway, so it was, I can't remember what year it was, maybe like 2018 or so, 2018 or 2017. No, 2018. I think it was 2018. So at the time, I was still living in Indonesia. And then I was holidaying in Europe. I was in Switzerland, and then I went on holiday to Spain and somewhere else. My chair. Jesus. So I was holidaying in Switzerland, and then I went to Spain and some other countries like that. And then I urgently had to return to Jakarta in Indonesia, where I was living. And then I had initially booked, of course, my flight on Swiss Air. Swiss, I think it's called Swiss. It's not Swiss Air, Swiss. And I was supposed to return on a certain date. I had already booked everything. And then I had to return urgently to Indonesia. So of course I couldn't, it was more expensive for me to change my flight than to buy a new ticket. So in a hurry, I quickly found a ticket on Cathay Pacific and bought the ticket on Cathay Pacific, planned to go back to Indonesia. I was staying in Bern at the time, which is the capital of Switzerland, but the airport, the international airport I was flying out from was in Zurich, which is like, is it up to 1 hour train ride from Bern? I can't remember correctly now. I think 1 hour or slightly less or slightly more. Anyway, so on the day I was supposed to fly back to Indonesia, I packed my bag, packed my luggage, took the train, went to the airport, waltzed to the check-in counter to drop my bag and check in and all that. And then when I got to the counter, for those who have a Nigerian passport like I do, you know the struggle. Every time you get to either the check-in counter or the customs, your heart starts to beat because they're like, God, let them just allow me pass this time. Like, I don't even want any drama. Anyway, so I got there. As usual, my heart was beating, which, like, at this point, my heart should not be beating anymore, but you can never tell. Anyway, so I got there, gave the lady my passport, everything. It was taking, like, longer than usual. And I was like, okay, what is going on here? I was already like dreading, like, what is going on now? Please, I beg, I just want to go. Then it was taking some time, and then they were like, she called her supervisor. I was like, oh my God, here we go. This green passport, oh my God. Anyway, so they were like, okay, they asked me to stand aside and they wanted to attend to other people because, well, time was going and they were taking long. So then the supervisor came and told me that that do I have a visa to transit through Hong Kong, because Cathay Pacific, it's a Hong Kong airline, and you, of course, you have to transit through. I had to transit through Hong Kong, and I had to change my flights in Hong Kong. And I was like, no, I don't have a transit visa. I didn't even know that I needed a transit visa, because it was just like my layover was like 2 hours or even less than 2 hours, or like 1 hour 30 minutes. And I was like, I don't have a transit visa. And they were like, okay, they'll try to see what they can do. I mean, I have to give it to the team I met there at the airport in Zurich. They were so nice and so friendly, and they really tried their best to be helpful. So I was like, okay. So they tried to reach the custom people in people in Hong Kong, and because of time difference, of course, it was kind of like I think either like almost midnight or something, some weird time in Hong Kong then. And then they were like trying to call the custom, and then it was taking time and they were checking people in, and it was almost time for my flight. I was like, oh my god, what am I going to do? I'm so dead. Anyway, so they uh trying to remember the story correctly now. Yeah, so they were trying to call the custom in Hong Kong. Eventually, after trying, like the guy called his supervisor as well. I think maybe the supervisor in Switzerland or the supervisor in Hong Kong or whatever. They called somebody in charge anyway. And those ones, they were like, okay, they cannot really allow me to board the flight if they do not like get in touch with the custom. So the people in Hong Kong tried to call their custom or whatever. After like 40 minutes of waiting, by this time my eyes were already red, like my throat was full of frustration. My throat was like tight like a frog, like it was, if you could measure it, to do it like this. Anyway, so after like 40 minutes, they got in touch with the wait. Before that, the guy was like, yeah, this has happened before, and like one of the options they can offer or something is that once I get to the airport in Hong Kong, like they will ask a police officer to either wait with me and escort me to the next flight to ensure that I don't flee. Eh? Hey, do you know the image that came to my head? You know all those like people that they catch at the airports in this what do they call it? Border patrol, those reality TV shows where they catch people with drugs and then they're escorting them. Hey! God, what will my mother say? Ah, nobody will know that they are just escorting me from one to transit flight. They would think that I took drugs. So hey Jesus, I was like, hey God, what kind of embarrassment is this? Meanwhile, of course, everybody was already like looking like, who is this? Who is this black person now? What's that they have put aside? Hey God, I think the embarrassment for me was even more than the fact that like I like they are still trying to figure out stuff for me. Anyway, so, oh my God, now that I'm remembering the story. Anyway, so when the guy said that, I was like, oh my God, like if I have another choice, I would really not want a police officer to escort me. I mean, I'm not going to escape in Hong Kong. I'm just going back to the country where I live, which is Indonesia, please. Anyway, so they got in touch with the after all the back and forth and everything, and the guy told me that they can give a police officer to escort me from one plane to the other so that I don't escape or what, I don't know. They got in touch with the custom. By this time, it was almost time for my flight. Like the flight was already like almost. I think the gate would close in like 20 minutes or something like that. I was like, oh my God. It was still like, it was not reality to me. I thought like, yeah, something is still going to happen and I will still board this plane and I will go. Uh, got in touch with the custom finally and they're like, we are so sorry. She's from Nigeria, so therefore she cannot transit in our airport without visa. Hey! I say, what? I say, excuse me. They're like, sorry, there's nothing they can do. They really tried. And honestly, this supervisor was so nice. I mean, like, I have to say the customer care for Swiss, like top notch. Like it was really nice. It was so empathetic. Please, I don't know that word. Anyway, he was so like nice, very understanding. Like at this time, everybody had already boarded the flight, and I think maybe they were waiting for me to so that they'll make a decision, maybe to teach me or take me along. Anyone that was going to be my case on that day. Anyway, after everything, like the customs were like, no, they cannot allow me board the plane because I don't have a transit visa. And between the time I was waiting, I was already checking, okay, what is the procedure for getting a transit visa to Hong Kong, blah, blah, blah. And it was going to take like months. People that apply for visa, we know how visa goes. In the end, that was when reality dawned on me that, girl, you're not boarding this flight. That's how this aeroplane took off and left me. Hey, Switzerland. Luckily for me, I was like, first of all, I was like, oh my God, because my flight back to Indonesia was 1 week later. The initial flight that I booked, which was like Swiss, it was Swiss. So the next week was the flight I was supposed to take back to Indonesia on Swiss Air. This Cathay Pacific airline, they left me in Switzerland. Hey, for 1 more week unplanned. Well, it was kind of planned, but kind of short. Anyway, they left me unplanned in Switzerland. I had to take, like, I had to make, like, tears were almost coming down from my eyes, but I didn't want to cry. I didn't want to cry so that all the Oyinbo people will not see me crying and they'll be like, ah, why is one crying? Anyway, I was trying to be strong. I was trying to be strong. As in the tears. Luckily for me, I had friends in Bern that I could stay with for 1 more week. And then I just took the train back to Bern and I stayed with my friends. And just went back to Indonesia 1 week later, 1 week later than planned. But that was a lesson for me. Like now, before I book any flight, before I book with any airline, I check like what are their requirements, where's their transit, and do I need a transit visa to go through there? Because let me even for Nigerians, let me even give you like a small tidbit. Do you know that as at 2018 when I checked, Cameroon beside us, they don't need a transit visa to transit through Hong Kong. Like no shade on the Cameroonians. I'm sorry, Ella. I'm so sorry, my best Cameroonian friend. But Cameroonians don't need a transit visa, but we need a transit visa. Why? Why? I'm not going to run away. I was not planning to run away. Anyway, so moral of the story is if you're a traveler, please always check if you require a transit visa to move from one for a layover. What am I saying? If you require a transit visa to for a layover in any country you're going to, for the privileged passport people, they cannot relate to this story because they just whiz from one part of the world to another. But for the rest of us, we have to apply for visas. We have to give all our life history and our genealogy and our ancestors' history before they can give us visa to go to their country. Anyway, so that's the end of this story time. Have you ever experienced any horror stories at the airport? If you have, please share in the comment section below and let's talk. That's the end of my story. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Why do I always dance when I'm saying this? Cheers.